Ahoy there, and welcome back to the Workaround. My name is Bob Gilbreth. You, my friend, are in good company with fellow entrepreneurs and innovators who follow my stories from a career in tech startups and corporate innovation. Sitting here right now to make you think, smile, and discover a shortcut to success or a trap to avoid. And this one is all about my story of being affected by someone else, a man named John Pepper. And I'll get into it. You might know him. You probably love him if you do. This is called True Leadership is Treating Others, How John Pepper Sparks the Best in the Rest of Us. I'll bet you've had a few brushes with greatness in your life. Now, we're not talking about selfies with celebrities here. I mean, those rare moments when people in high leadership positions glide down to meet us at our junior ranks as peers rather than superiors. These encounters produce lifelong memories that we enjoy sharing with others. John Pepper is one of those special people. Among many leadership roles he's had at public companies and nonprofits, John Pepper's best known as a former chairman and CEO of Procter & Gamble, also known as P&G. I will use P&G here a lot to mean that. I was sparked recently to think about John while listening to my friend Raman Sehgal interview him for the P&G Alumni podcast. On that, John's been on with Raman a few times, but most recently they talked about John's new book, which is called 100 Books That Shaped My Life. On a side note, I did buy this book, and I've already discovered one of those 100 books that I wouldn't have without John. It's a book called Gilead. That's really great. So I've got a link for that in my Substack. But back to our main story here. Hearing the two of them talk brought me back to memories of the little personal touches that John Pepper took to shape my life story. Now, if you've worked at P&G during the years of his leadership or got involved with one of the many boards and volunteer projects that he engaged with since leaving the company, I'll bet you have a story or two about John's random acts of unexpected kindness. We share many leaders and experiences in our careers, but no one else quite lights us up like talking about John Pepper. So today I'm going to share a few stories about my glances at his greatness, along with some thoughts on why people like him are so darn rare. All right, here we go. This is called Moving Fast. It's the summer of 1998, and I'm sitting in a big circle of tables waiting for our CEO to enter the room. For a few weeks now, I've been walking the halls surrounded by the best and brightest in the industry who work on products that improve the lives of billions of people each year. I'm just a lowly intern spending the summer between my MBA years at the company. I knew almost nothing about the real world of marketing when I started here. Now I know a thimbleful. But there's one topic I know more about than the majority of my experienced corporate colleagues, and that is digital marketing. I left my first job in banking shortly after booting up AOL for the first time and realizing this internet thing was going to be a gold rush. An MBA at NYU seemed like a chance to hit the career button, and I hope to apply my interest in growing knowledge of the online world at P&G. Before the end of my first week, I ran into the brand manager at the company named Pete Blackshaw, who was recruiting interns to volunteer for a project to accelerate the company's digital marketing efforts. He called it something like the Future of Advertising Summer Task Force, or FAST for short. My boss warned me that joining Pete and this group might distract me from my day job and even risk my chances of getting a full-time offer. But his energy was infectious, and I couldn't turn down the chance to be part of the future. As the summer progressed, our ragtag team conducted research, wrote memos, and spoke with key leaders within and outside of the company. It all culminates in our presentation to the CEO, John Pepper, and I've got a key role to play. I'm prepared to show John how digital devices will be key drivers of consumer engagement and advertising. My Palm Pilot, that's right, back then all we had was a Palm Pilot, has been a game changer in my life for 2 years now, and it's loaded up with the rudimentary app, the Tide Stain Detective. Its grainy black and white drop-down boxes ask for the type of clothing you have and the item that stained it. I've got a white cotton with blueberry stains, something like that. Good luck. Anyway, you put those drop-down boxes in, and then it shares tips on how to best treat the stain. It's simple and already used by consumers, and it shows a path for advertising to move beyond annoying interruption and toward marketing with meaning. A group of interns nervously awaits the arrival of the big boss. He finally enters the room and sits down at the open seat on my left. Gulp. The presentations begin and are going well. The first thing I notice is that Pepper is fully switched on. He's leaning in, asking follow-up questions and thinking aloud. This is no dog and pony show for him. Then it comes to my turn. I say something about the future of digital devices and hold up my Palm Pilot. He leans over, touching shoulder to shoulder, and says, "Show me how that works." And he's kind of like got my hand in his hand. And I swear, I will never forget, my hand is shaking in nervousness as I walk through our all-powerful CEO through a stain detective demo. But his genuine interest and care eventually settles my nerves. We finish our presentations. John thanks us for our work, which gave him lots to think about. He leaves the room and leaves us feeling that we mattered. This next one's called The Memo. I did end up getting that full-time offer and returned to Cincinnati and P&G. Now it's fall 2001, and I'm in my second brand assignment working on Tide. It's a multi-billion-dollar behemoth at the heart of our profit engine, and I'm working on my first TV commercial for Tide Liquid. Since we spend millions of dollars on TV, this is kind of a big deal. Our ad, titled Preschool, tells the story of a mom of a young boy who is nervous about starting preschool. But wearing his favorite shirt helps him feel good about drop-off, and Tide helps his mom keep it clean through many daily stains. It was the latest creative in our campaign, which had a consistency of showing how Tide plays a small but mighty role in family life. The preschool ad performs well on tests and is released to the public. A few weeks later, my manager, Brian McNamara, who I've written about, is an awesome guy too, tells me that John Pepper liked the ad and wanted to know how it did in testing. Like any good manager, Brian forwards this request on to me. Now, back in those days, we didn't use email. It was all about memos. So I quickly drafted a short one to relay the scores with all the precise formatting that I was taught on day one as an intern. A few days later, I received the note that I've got on my Substack cover photo that's from John Pepper. Let me read it for you. Bob, thank you very much for sending on the Tide preschool commercial. I'll be putting it in the reel that I'm going to be using in a presentation to executives in Hong Kong. I will be using it to illustrate the importance of respecting local culture and developing simple human insights in creating great advertising. This truly is a wonderful commercial. The writing is exquisite. I don't think there is a single camera shot that isn't superbly drawn. The integration of the problem and the solution and the Tide product strikes me as just right. This is what great advertising is all about. Then, to have that judgment confirmed by the best ARS results on record, that's our testing service, that is success. Can't wait to see its business impact. Please pass on my compliments to all involved. John Pepper. Okay. Here's why this is so great, in case you didn't notice. Number one, he actually wrote a note back. That itself is beyond anything we expect when our higher-ups request something, anything. Second, he explained why he asked in the first place. And I've got a link to a Substack post I wrote a couple years ago about seeing when I had to sell my company, or not had to, but when I did sell my company, I had a boss, and this boss would often ask things but never give me the background, no why behind the ask. It's such a crucial issue. So most leaders forget to see that, but John is telling me, here's why I asked, which just, if nothing else, makes me not fear the worst. Is he pissed? Does he not like it? Whatever. Third, he gave very specific praise. This was so beyond saying, great job or well done. Notice how he went into detail. That showed that he cared, and also shining a very specific light on our team's skills. Again, coming from someone who spent his whole career making and judging ads for a living, and who was sitting in my chair at various levels on the Tide brand in his career, it really meant a lot. And then finally, he makes that note at the end to be sure that I share his compliments with the broader team. Because this note's not just for me. There's a whole village of people within the company and many agency partners that came together for this win. And while it wasn't as easy as just forwarding on an email, I made a lot of copies and talked about it in various meetings to make sure everybody got the good news and his message. All wrapped up together, you see a very busy person who's leading one of the biggest companies in the world take precious minutes to do something completely unexpected. Communicate with heart with a low-level employee. Okay, this third one's called A Solemn Elevator Ride. Those of us alive at the time remember where we were on 9/11/2001. I was heading down to the P&G cafeteria to get a cup of coffee when I found a group of people in the hallway transfixed by a television monitor. I stayed until the first tower fell, then went back up to our bullpen of cubes. Less than half an hour later, Brian came by to say we should all go home. I recall driving back that late morning to clear skies above and dark clouds within. I held my baby daughter, wondering what kind of world I brought her into. The next morning, I head back into the office. Like a zombie, I rely on routine motions to get me moving. At 8 a.m., I punch the elevator button to head up to my desk on the 9th floor. As I walk in and turn around, John Pepper walks in behind me, and another woman joins us. Our heads are bowed like we're standing at a funeral. John breaks the silence by greeting us both. It's hard to put a finger on it, but I feel the care he is giving off. And I'm reminded of a quote he's well known for. It's not what you do, it's how you make other people feel. At that moment in the elevator, he could have been fearfully thinking or strategically planning about what to do about a tanking stock price and pending recession, not to mention the global ramifications of potential warfare. Instead, he was present in that elevator, sharing a moment with just 2 of his 106,000 employees. This last one I call Signature Move. Finally, it's June 2009. I left P&G 5 years ago to join my friends as a partner at a digital agency. But the company still has a title to a big chunk of our thoughts. All but one of our executive team is a P&G alum. Our largest client is P&G, and we still speak in P&G-ese. So of course, I'm off to Rome to join that year's P&G Global Alumni Reunion. I'm extra excited because I'm really extra excited. I'm extra excited to go because a book I've been spending years working on is coming out in the fall. I've got a few galley copies of the latest draft. These galley copies, if you've seen them before, they're printed in like ugly black and white covering usually, with a really gross paperback binding. They're used for final feedback before publication. I plan to hand them out to some extra special people I might meet there. Target number 1 is John Pepper. In between sessions on the first afternoon, I patiently await my turn to chat with John as a crowd of fans surrounds him. I hand him a copy of my crappy covered book and tell him that he has been a great influence on me. He immediately smiles and said, "Well, when people give me their book, I have to make sure they sign it." He hands me his pen and I quickly scribble a note. "This is my very first book signing." Couldn't have been for a better person. So, what's happening here? The title of this post, I use the term treating others. And if you can't tell, I'm using it as both a play on both treating people well and as a leader, realizing the unexpected kindnesses are a wonderful, rare treat. They cost nothing but mean everything. Why are we so touched by treats like this? Well, when we work in a large organization, we don't expect to interact with leaders in high places. No matter how much blood, sweat, and tears we put into the job, we know we're but small cogs in the machine. They are big, we are small, and that's how life works. So those rare moments when we are seen stand out. And when we look back on a lifetime of work, those few moments with these special leaders become part of our personal highlight reel. We mattered. Why is this so rare? Because we get what we ask for. Sadly, people like John Pepper are not the business leaders our society pays most attention to. Our media, a mirror of who we are, shines its spotlights on the brash billionaires and corporate titans. They are the ones who prefer to take the dais at Davos rather than share a sandwich with new hires in the corporate cafe. We follow them because we're still mostly stuck in the belief that the answers to our deepest questions and needs lie in fiscal growth or technological innovation. But when we turn away from what everybody else thinks is important, we become more aware and appreciative of people like John Pepper. These rare souls are out there among us, walking through life, saying hello, sending notes, being present in the moments between, and cheering us up when we're down. It's like they're shooting off sparks of consciousness and love. What makes John and others like this? Maybe nature. Some people are just born that way. Could be luck, genes, or lessons learned through numerous reincarnations, if you believe that. Maybe nurture, a wonderful family, and or a very challenging trauma that led things to work out positively. Maybe growth. We can change our minds and personalities for the better as we evolve through life. However it happened for John Pepper, many of us have benefited because he saw his job as seeing us. If we want a world with more John Peppers, then we have to lead the way and shoot off our own sparks of love. That's what those sparks are. They are falling on the rest of us in hopes of being noticed and triggering brighter lights in our hearts. If you have experienced and remember little treats of kindness like this, you are halfway there. You felt the sparks land. You're aware. Something's smoldering. True leadership is within you. Likely, at first, your tinder is a bit damp. Mine sure was. We have a natural fear of trusting people. School and society don't teach us this stuff. Any current crisis sends us into panic mode and fear reigns. Basically, a snapshot of the world today. I first thought leaders got to make all the decisions and order people around. But those early days in my P&G career taught me to be open to influence. Enough sparks from people like John landed on me to catch fire. I discovered that the best thing I could do was the opposite of my instincts. To see and serve others, to give them ownership, be there in thick and thin, and cheer them on to greatness. I learned that the better I treated the people I worked with, the better the business performed. I felt like I discovered a magic trick for success. Then I noticed what it did to my mind and attitude. I didn't have to fear. This made room for love. By practicing this leadership model, we each discover a unique way to spark others that best fits who we are. I cannot recall names like John can. My handwriting is too awful to put on a thank you card. But I've chosen habits like making time for anyone in need, interviewing and onboarding every new hire at my companies, having quarterly one-on-ones with each employee, and personally encouraging anyone who takes on a new creative project. And I'm sharing stories here to help spark you too. How do you treat others? I would love to hear your special sauce. I also would love to hear if you have a story about John Pepper to share or some other leader that you'd like to recognize with an inspirational story. Please go back to my Substack. There's a comment thing at the bottom. I know, it's amazing. This thing called comments. You can add your thoughts and answers. Go do that. Pay it forward. Let's get some juice around this thing. Don't be afraid. Share whatever you got. Go make somebody feel good. Meanwhile, a word from, I don't know, we're not doing the sponsor thing anymore, but the final word, if you want to go further, anybody is welcome to chat during my open office hours to discuss questions, provide feedback, network, or explore any topic. This one-on-one time together is always a treat for me. I will say my primary value lies in helping people strategize and self-examine in order to discover their path forward. No charge accepted. It's such a joy for me. And I'm also the co-founder of Fleet. It's a holding company for service businesses. We invest in leaders who are ready to start their own companies. We also do a little M&A. If you've ever thought about starting your own professional service business but need financial or other support, hit that same schedule link and I'm sure we'll have a great conversation. That's it for this week. Ahoy for now.